This one? Okay. So I believe we'll start with the swearing in of Brenda Landis. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. I, Brenda Landis. Do solemnly swear. I do solemnly swear. That I will support, obey, and defend. That I will support, obey, and defend. The Constitution of the United States. The Constitution of the United States. And the Constitution of the Commonwealth. And the Constitution of the Commonwealth. And that I will discharge the duties of my office. And that I will discharge the duties of my office as Carlisle Borough Council member. As Carlisle Borough Council member. With fidelity. With fidelity. Congratulations. Thank you. Now with Sophronia Perry, can you please come forward? I state your name.
I, Sophronia Perry,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the Commonwealth,
and the Constitution of the Commonwealth,
and that I will discharge the duties of my office
and that I will discharge the duties of my office
as Carlisle Borough Council member
as Carlisle Borough Council member.
with fidelity.
With fidelity.
Congratulations. John Schultz.
I need a lot of help though.
Oh, we'll wait till the end of the swearing in.
I don't think we can see the people in the back. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, John Schultz,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the Commonwealth,
and the Constitution of the Commonwealth,
and that I will discharge the duties of my office
and that I will discharge the duties of my office
as Carlisle Borough Mayor
as Carlisle Borough Mayor
with fidelity.
with fidelity. So
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. At this time, I'd like to call this January 3rd, 2022 Biennial Organizational Meeting to order. Council may now take action to elect a temporary president.
I would like to nominate Councillor Sean Schultz as President pro tempore.
Second. Mr. Secretary, there is a motion and a second. Could you call the question? We'll call the question. You call the question. This is one of those procedural oddballs that we're working through. So we'll call the question.
You need to call the question.
I'll call the question. I can do that.
Yes. Sue.
Yes.
Call the question.
We didn't practice this
No, we
before.
didn't. I apologize. We did not.
That's okay.
So we have a motion. And did we second that motion?
We did. We had a second
Okay.
by Councillor Hicks. So we just need all
Councillor
those
Hicks.
all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
You need to say.
Am I saying that?
Yes.
I'm missing my conversation here.
Okay.
We need to practice this next time. Okay. We have a motion. All those in favor of electing Mayor Schultz as a temporary president. No, he's not a mayor yet.
That's good. Close
That
enough.
is so
You're good.
Electing Sean Schultz as a temporary president, say aye.
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 Okay. It's my show from here on out now. Thank you, Joyce. Okay, we have two council members who are attending via Zoom tonight. Joyce, are both Councilors Crampsey and Stubbe online?
Yes.
We do. Hello, Jeff. Hello, Sean. Okay. Is there a motion to permit council members Crampsey and Stubbe to attend by telecommunication device?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I move that we allow Councilors Crampsey and Stubbe to join us virtually.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There being a motion and a second, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? The motion passes. Next is a motion from which I will have to recuse myself. Is there a motion that council accept the resignation of myself, Sean Schultz, from my seat as member of Carlisle Borough Council?
I make the motion that we accept the resignation of Sean Schultz from his seat as a member of Carlisle Borough Council.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? The motion passes. That's the magic moment. So now I'm actually mad. And thank you, Mr. Solicitor, for helping us work through that too in advance. Next is we traditionally have an invocation or moment of silence and then pledge. I'm going to take a moment to provide some comment, and we'll recognize Councilors Landis and Perry, our new councilor, later on in the agenda. But one, I want to thank Borough Council, thank my family and friends here tonight, especially to my in-laws and my mom, who I think, Mom, it's the first time you've been out for any of my swearing in. And of course, to Amy, Michael, and Aisley, the bedrock of my life and the reason I love to face each new day. I am humbled by the people of Carlisle choosing me to preside over this elected body for the next 4 years. In both council and staff, I serve alongside some of the most conscientious, thoughtful people that I've had the fortune to meet. Within and beyond these walls, we will face challenges, some foreseen, some yet unknown. For each of us up here, our goal is unified and simple. Make life better for the people we serve, the best we can. Imagine, if you will, somewhere in Carlisle, there's a woman who has just learned her daughter has cancer. Somewhere there's a man, maybe a veteran, whose home is an unrolled pack on the cold ground of a park. Somewhere in Carlisle, someone is trying to deal with the pain and torment of an assault by injecting poison into her veins for the first time. Elsewhere, a mom was denied a much-needed raise, perhaps unwittingly by her employer because of the color of her skin. In someone's home right now, a young student of immigrant parents is working through her homework while her parents are busy working extra jobs to make ends meet. These are all stories that take place in this town, and we know because we've heard them. In June 1981, a 7-year-old boy, just awakened, sat on the edge of his bed, the world swirling around him as his parents explained to him that his 3-month-old brother had finally succumbed to a rare genetic disease. Spending those next decades searching for meaning and purpose from those 3 months, that lost boy now sits here as mayor, understanding the fragility, grief, and pain of life, and trying to find a way to help make life better for others. Knowing we have all too brief a moment of earthly existence here together. So what will this council do with this brief moment we have together? We've already begun working on 2 lofty goals: addressing our local responsibilities on climate change and empowering a Truth and Reconciliation Commission to find ways to improve opportunity and equity for those who have been disadvantaged by the color of their skin. We must and we will see those goals through. And those goals are harmonies to the melody of the everyday work we must do. The seemingly mundane things that we do, like ensuring water flows to homes and businesses and trash gets picked up. The procedure-dominated process of land planning and historic preservation, facilitating a new internet provider's entry into the borough. These choices may seem inconsequential to most, but they are the choices that affect the quality of life of our residents. Some of these choices have indirect ramifications on the people we serve and whether they can provide for themselves and their families. We must do all these things in a borough that is largely built out with little ability to expand our tax base, although we will continue our work to strengthen the economic backbone of our borough, our small businesses, and our residents. Despite our fiscal challenges, we will continue to remain responsible with our use of tax dollars. Each tax dollar spent is money that might otherwise go to a resident's groceries or basic utilities. So we will do everything in our power to make sure those tax dollars have value returned for them. The things we do as government are done because we are all in this together as a community. And there are those things that are best done collectively. Together we have ridden through economic highs and lows. Together we have done our part to try to keep each other safe and healthy through each successive wave of the global pandemic. We rise and fall together because Carlisle is about community. Carlisle is about looking out for your neighbors and the strangers you may meet and picking them up when they most need it. That is the very heartbeat and in the DNA of this town, and why I fell in love with it more than 2 decades ago. Each of us as elected officials were handed these positions in trust for the public. As we press forward, let us and each person we serve work with the common purpose and dedication this borough deserves. And together we will restore Carlisle. We will rebuild prosperity for all. And in so doing, we will renew our commitment to each other as a community united. Please take a moment of silence to keep the people of Carlisle and all those in need tonight in your mind. Now please rise with me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to again recognize Councillor Landis, Councillor Perry, if you have any comments you'd wish to make, or simply we're glad to have you up here. Okay. We're elated to have you up here. Councillors Stubbe and Crampsey, I'm sure would be happy to be here in person for your first meeting, Councillor Perry. But we'll have plenty of meetings going ahead. Next is a portion of the agenda where we provide for public comment, the citizens to be heard. Are there any citizens or others who wish to be heard at this time? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. The adoption of bylaws. Is there a motion to adopt our bylaws?
I make a motion to adopt our bylaws.
Motion by Councillor Hicks. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councillor Landis. Call the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? The motion passes. Next, the election of officers. As part of our home rule charter, there is a need to elect a deputy mayor. We'll do so by taking nominations and then voting on any nominations that are made. Is there a nomination for deputy mayor?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to be recognized to make a nomination for deputy mayor.
Yes, Mr. Hicks.
I'd like to nominate Councillor Brenda Landis.
Councillor Landis has been nominated. Are there any further nominations? Then we will close the nominations. All those in favor of electing Councilor Brenda Landis as Deputy Mayor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Councilor Landis, you are now Deputy Mayor. Congratulations. Next, a number of routine appointments that council makes every year, which I think we can pass in a slate under section Roman numeral 11, A through H. Is there a motion to make those appointments?
I'll make the motion to make the appointments to be made by council, A through H.
Motion by Deputy Mayor Landis. Is there a second?
Second.
A second by Councilor Hicks. Call the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 And those opposed? The motion passes. Next, the adoption of our rules of order for 2022 to 2023. Is there such a motion?
I'll make the motion to adopt the rules of order for 2022 and 2023.
There's a motion by Deputy Mayor Landis to adopt the rules of order. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Hicks. Call the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 And those opposed? The rules are adopted. Next, we will set the date and time for the 2022 regular business meetings. Is there such a motion under sections A and B?
I'll make the motion for setting the date and time for 2022 regular business meetings, both A and B.
There's a motion by Deputy Mayor Landis. Excuse me. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Hicks. Call the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? And the dates and times for the meetings are established. Next, one of the duties of the mayor is to assign chair and vice chair committees. Those are listed in the agenda. So as we move on to new business, you have your new assignments. So we can move on to new business under the Ercp Committee, which now I need to remind myself, Deputy Mayor Landis, that is your committee now.
So it is. I have a few items tonight. I make a motion that council adopt procedures for notice and appointment of the vacancy on Carlisle Borough Council for the public meeting to be held January 27th, 2022 at 6 p.m.
I am your vice chair. I will second that motion. Before we move into that, just some background. Due to my resignation as a member of council, that created a vacancy. That vacancy is to be filled within 30 days by Borough Council, 30 days from tonight. If not filled within 30 days of tonight, then it would go to the vacancy board, which is really a vacancy board chair that we just moments ago appointed, along with Borough Council. We are going to go through a process where we post an application online with a number of written questions that will need to be provided as part of that application, along with a resume and a letter of interest. Council will consider those applications that are timely and fully submitted at a public meeting to be held January 27th, 2022 at 6 p.m. once this motion is voted upon. Councilor Stubbe, I know you took part in putting the process together. Do you have any additional comments you might want to make?
I do not at this time. Thank you for just kind of generally laying out the process for us, Mayor Schultz.
Okay, and we'll have a full press release to go out and more detail online that folks can check out. So there has been a motion and a second. I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 And those opposed? And the motion passes. I'll recognize Councilor Hicks under Citizens to be heard regarding the War, Peace, and Justice Symposium.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll invite Scott to come up, and while we're waiting for him, I just want the audience to know that we appreciate Councillor Crampsey and Stubbe dialing virtually to help accommodate social distancing. So that was one of the drivers to make this a safe meeting. Thank you Sean and Jeff. Scott's going to talk to us for a few minutes about a project that one of our late and most revered citizens here, residents of Carlisle, Sherwood McGinnis, had worked with Scott on this project, making it, which I think by the end of the time, Scott's comments, a very compelling and reflective of the thoughtful work that our residents do here. So please lend your ears to Scott as he talks about a very thoughtful and interesting symposium that we have to look forward to in March. The floor is yours, Scott. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Council, thank you for allowing me to present the J. Sherwood McGinnis Jr. War, Peace, and Justice Symposium. I'm Scott Bjorn, as Councillor Hicks has mentioned. I'm one of two project coordinators for the symposium. And we do not have to tell anyone here how special Carlisle is. It's really a community of conscience. And it is a community that brings out the best in people. A place that inspires people for community action. The symposium is named in honor of the late Dr. Sherwood McGinnis, who recently passed away on 18 November. Some of you knew Sherwood. He was someone who was continually active in the community. As we have come to know recently, life is sacred. We are reminded of this fundamental truth by the late Russian novelist Leo Tolstoy, author of War and Peace. He stated that the recognition that the life of men and women as sacred is the first and only basis of all ethics. Over the last 20 years, the U.S. has been involved in the longest war in history, in U.S. history. What outcomes do you, as American people, expect from the expenditure of national blood and treasure? To address these questions and offer a better way forward regarding conflict resolution, we have assembled a 2-week symposium this coming spring, 25 March to 9 April 2022, and here in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. The event is free and open to the general public. The purpose of the symposium is to illuminate the human drama of conflict and its impact on society by demonstrating the nature and consequences of war amongst the people. War is a human phenomenon, and it's amongst the people. We have learned that war is always amongst the people, and the goal is to build a better peace with justice so that security and liberty can prosper together. The symposium is being developed in partnership with the Association of the U.S. Army, headquartered in Arlington, Virginia, the Carlisle Area Chamber of Commerce, the Cumberland County Historical Society, Dickinson College, Penn State University Dickinson Law, the Joint Civil Military Interaction Network, and those other participating organizations are the U.S. Army War College and the U.S. Peacekeeping and Stability Operation Institute, here also headquartered in Carlisle Barracks. The symposium is sponsored by the Cor Christi Institute Incorporated, a 501c3 organization. As a prelude to the symposium next spring, Dickinson College is hosting a Clark Forum event on 1 March to address the essential questions. What is war? What is peace? What is justice? And what are the interrelationships between war, peace, and justice? Panel participants include Judge Jones III, interim president of Dickinson College, Margie Ensign, past president of Dickinson College, current president of American University of Nigeria, Major General David Hill, United States Army Commandant, U.S. Army War College, Dean Danielle Conway, Penn State Dickinson Law, and our moderator, Lieutenant General retired James Dubik, United States Army, who held the Omar Bradley Chair at the War College, Dickinson College, and Penn State law in 2013. We hope to make this community project a lasting event for the community, perhaps a biennial or an annual event. Thank you for your time this evening. I am more than happy to answer any questions you may have. If I can just direct everyone to the screen, it's a very busy schedule, but it's 2 weeks long. Most sessions will be double run, sequential nights, evenings. To maximize participation from the community, 95% of events will be conducted in the evening, approximately beginning at 7:30. Most of the events are also augmented by the humanities, theater, film, literature, etc. So the methodology will be, there'll be a moderator, followed by a film, and a panel discussion. If I can just go back to one previous slide, if you could, please. As you can see, we're using multiple lenses, focus areas, to illuminate the human drama of conflict. The first week is really about the philosophical nature of war. The second week is really about the consequences of war. And we have significant both civilian and military leaders speaking throughout the 2 weeks. We have a play, the Iliad, which is a classic Homer's play on the war, the 10-year war in Troy, between the Greeks and the Trojans. So that really does conclude my presentation. Again, if there are any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer those. But thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you, Scott. Just real quick, is there a place where people can sign up, or are these events open to the public?
Yeah, thank you for bringing the first slide. You can see our partners identified in the logos. There is a website, www.warpeacejustice.org. And once we finalize the schedule, it will be posted on that website and also a Facebook page. And you'll see more marketing and advertising as we get closer to the event.
Thank you very much, Scott. I just wanted to add a lot of this thinking is centered around a book by General Rupert Smith, who really accentuates the importance of a military thinker, Karl von Clausewitz, who highlights the fact that war is not just about militaries, it's about people, it's about government. So many of you may be wondering, isn't this something that the Army War College should be handling? And the answer, in my opinion, is it's more complex than that. And I think this is an attempt to recognize that any activity involved in using arms against anybody really needs to be a conversation, not just about within the military, but within the people themselves. And this is a great step forward in doing that. So thank you, Scott. And we thank all of us as a body for Sherwood's thinking through this. And we hope we can do his vision justice. And I look forward to helping you, and as do all of us, in making this a success. So thanks a lot, Scott.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Councilor Hicks, for bringing that forward. Next, the Budget and Finance Committee, Councillor Stubbe. Okay, I didn't see the screen up there yet.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have 3 items this evening. First, I move that Council approve using American Recovery Funds for fiscal year 2021 revenue replacement in the amount of $425,350.15.
There is a motion by Councillor Stubbe on the approval of using American Recovery Funds. Is there a second?
Second.
It's a motion and a second. Call the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, the motion passes.
Next, I move that Council assign fund balance of December 31st, 2021 in the amount of $425,350.15.
There is a motion on the assignment of the fund balance. Is there a second?
Second.
It's a motion and a second. Call the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, the motion passes.
And finally, I move that Council approve of the 2022 tax increment financing guarantee payment in the amount of $425,350.15.
There is a motion by Councillor Stubbe on the approval of the 2022 tax increment finance and guarantee payment. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. I'll call the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, the motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Councillor Stubbe. Moving on to the Public Works Committee, Councillor Perry.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's yeah. We have to. That's you got it. You're going. Go ahead. You got the mic.
Leaf vacuum, staff briefing. Staff will provide an update on a potential purchase of a leaf vacuum.
Mark, is that yours?
Yes, that's mine. Good
Take
evening,
it away.
everyone. Public Works Department just completed the annual leaf collection program. That program requires an effort of both the residents of the borough and also staff of the borough to collect leaves and transport them to the borough compost site and produce compost for borough residents' reuse. That process is relatively tedious, and we're a little bit different than the majority of our neighbors. The majority of our neighbors rely on a mechanical leaf vacuum to collect leaves, whereas we require our residents to manually rake their leaves, put them in paper bags, place those bags at the curb, and then Public Works staff manually collects those as we drive through the borough. 2 years ago, we applied for a grant to the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection for a recycling grant to provide us with revenue needed to purchase a leaf vacuum truck. And we were successful in securing that grant. Borough Council executed the grant agreement end of last year, and we now have 3 years to either utilize that grant or return it to the department unused. In preparation for that, staff prepared a memorandum on the current leaf collection program, why we do it, our current approach, what our neighbors do, how much it costs us in both manpower and fuel cost, and what it would take if we utilize the grant, purchase of leaf vacuum, and went forward with a change in that. On the agenda for the January Borough Council meeting will be a request to actually purchase the equipment. But before we do that, I wanted to go through this proposed approach and make sure that Council was comfortable with it before we presented the request for purchase. If you look at the borough, there are certain areas that are readily accessible for a large truck with a attached vacuum to maneuver along the streets and collect leaves that residents would rake to the curb. However, there are other areas of the borough because of the design of the street or the demand for on-street parking, it makes it more difficult for that to occur. So what we're proposing to do is to start slow and see how things progress, and perhaps modify the program over time. So in your packet is a map that shows the borough, and the downtown core area of the borough is highlighted in yellow. You may want to go to the next, if you have the next page. Okay, well, so the downtown area of the borough, and generally it is that portion of the borough west of East Street, north of Willow, east of College, and south of D is in dog. Those are the areas, that's the area of the borough that has the greatest demand for on-street parking. Recognizing that staff does not want to overcommit in the beginning, we're proposing that if council does purchase a leaf vacuum truck, that we use that truck in the areas outside of the shaded yellow initially, and that we provide, based on the savings in fuel that we anticipate, residents within the shaded area free paper bags to use to collect leaves and place that at the curb. We would go through that program over a span of a year or two and keep track of the amount that we collect versus how many bags are actually filled and used, and also the availability for on-street parking, and come back to council at a later time with potential modifications to the area that we're proposing to use the leaf vacuum truck. The grant amount is in the amount of $220,000. That's a maximum amount. It's a 10% local match. We've included in the budget for next year funds to pay for the local match through our stormwater management fee. Removing leaves from the streets is really a stormwater function. If we don't remove the leaves, they clog area inlets. So that's the rationale for using the stormwater account for that. Questions, comments, suggestions?
Thank you, Mark. I'll first check in with Councillor Stubbe and Crampsey, since they're by Zoom, if you have any questions or comments.
I do not. I appreciate the information that was outlined in the memorandum, and I think that makes sense for at least an initial run as to how we're approaching this.
Yep, same here. No questions, but thanks for the update, Mark, and I fully trust in Mark and staff and on board with the recommendations.
Okay. Any other questions? Go ahead, Councillor Hicks.
Thank you, Mr. Just a couple of things. First of all, great background material. I really appreciate the thought that went into it. The highlights of this program make a lot of sense. Two questions. Do the provisions of the grant, and by the way, if you ever hear the words 10% match on a grant and you don't get a proposal in for something you need, you're missing a big opportunity. So kudos to all of us who got the grant in over here. I think this is a great opportunity. Do the provisions of the grant allow us to use any of that for the bag for executing, which would maybe include partially providing bags, or would that have to come from another source?
The way that we wrote the grant application, it was exclusively for the procurement of the equipment plus modifications to borough ordinances.
Okay.
Right now, the ordinance require or prohibits against raking leaves to the curb. So council would need to amend borough code to allow that. We certainly could speak with the Department of Environmental Protection to see whether they would be open to bag purchase as well with any unused grant amounts, since it's based on the quotes that we received, there would be unused amount left.
Okay, yeah, right. It would be good to know if we might be able to use some, if there are any, left over from the grant to help procure the bags for that smaller area, which I think makes a lot of sense to keep with a limited off-street parking to make it a hybrid system, at least for the near term. Just curious, how long does it take to have someone vacuum leaves from a new truck? Is that something that we would have to spend some weeks training, or is it pretty easy?
Staff has, in looking at available equipment, they did have the opportunity to to
Go
operate
test
it.
drive. Got to test drive some
to
leaf.
test drive.
Nice. Okay. Good.
So requires hand-eye coordination.
Okay. Good to know. Good to know. Hey, these are complicated machines. Well, good to know. That's all. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any other questions, comments? Okay. Thank you. Thank you for the update, Mark. We'll look for more on that in the near future. Councilor Perry, I assume that concludes your committee's report. Okay. Thank you. Next, we give the public 2 bites at the apple. We gave an opportunity for public comment earlier in the meeting. There's another opportunity for public comment at this point in the meeting. Is there any public comment here in the hall or on Zoom? No, not on Zoom. Okay. Then move on to recognition of members. But before I do that, I saw someone sneak in. I didn't notice. He's looking around like he knows exactly what I'm talking about. Mayor Scott, thanks for joining us tonight. It hasn't been that long, but we're happy you came back for this one. Appreciate it. Then we'll go around the horn, recognize members. Anything you want to, Councilor Perry? We usually use this opportunity to just bring up issues around the borough, things that we may have done recently that may impact borough government or the community at large. Not putting you on the spot. Sometimes we just each pass on that too. So, do you have anything you'd like to offer?
No, I don't. I just got to get used to this.
Right, you'll get there. It'll take you.
I got to remember to push the button.
Councilor Landis.
I don't have much to report. I would just say that I've, in this last month, I've known a lot of people that have been getting sick, no matter if they've been, I've vaccinated. These tests are hard to come by. If you have some, help a friend out if you can't find them, because I've been, we've been swapping tests all over. Everyone has been pretty healthy overall, but the flu's out there. If you haven't gotten your flu shot, go get a flu shot, go get your COVID shot, and try to stay healthy and try to do everything that we can. So distancing and masking and everything. But it's definitely real. And my heart goes out to the teachers once again. So, and our students and schools. And that's it. Oh, and thanks to everyone for electing me, by the way. and Deputy Mayor, okay, sure.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councilor Hicks.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. No, I just wanted to say, one, how happy and excited I am for, I can now say Deputy Mayor Landis for deciding to run again for council. She is one of the most hardworking council members. I'll just leave it at that. One of the most thoughtful, and I'm thrilled you decided to stay with us. And Soprania, you're like one of the hardest working people I know in the community, and I'm super thrilled you listened to the people who urged you, including myself, to run for council. It's great to have you on board. I still don't know everything about being on council, so don't feel like you have to take it all in at once. And I speak for everybody on council. If you ever have any questions and concerns, no matter how trivial or important they are, all of us will be happy at any time to answer any questions you have and to make you feel more comfortable about engaging in the issues that really matter. We don't want a procedural hurdle to get in the way of your good mind. So welcome aboard. Look forward to working with you. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilor Crampson.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thanks, Council, for allowing me to be from home this evening, so you all can socially distance, and also so my little one who can't get vaccinated yet can stay as safe as possible. To echo Deputy Mayor Landis's comments, please, the folks in the community, please do everything you can to keep those in our community safe. Wearing masks, socially distancing, getting vaccinated and boosted. This has been a long road. We've had many meetings where we thought we were going to a better place. So I'm hopeful we don't have to do too many more of these meetings on Zoom. To Councilor Perry, I'm looking forward to serving with you, looking forward to being there in person. Deputy Mayor Landis, congratulations, and last but certainly not least, Mayor Schultz, congratulations. Looking forward to working with all of council for the next 2 years. And just wanted to circle back and give a shout out. I know we went quickly through the agenda, but the appointments we got to make on item 11 with our staff. As always, we have such an amazing staff. Special shout out to our solicitor, who I think worked along with you, Mr. Mayor, to make sure that this meeting went smoothly. I know it's a lot of formalities, but I think we're all legal now and we're set to vote on things for the public. So thanks.
Thank you, Councilor Cramps. Councilor Stubbe.
I'll just echo those comments. Congratulations to Councilor Perry. Welcome aboard, and then congratulations to Deputy Mayor Landis and you, Mayor Schultz. I'm excited to be working with the group that we have here, and I'm looking forward to that. Sorry that I couldn't be there in person for your swearing in ceremonies. Obviously, the larger environment and the pandemic that we're still dealing with are kind of things that we, as a council and a community, continue to grapple with, and I appreciate that we are working through that, and like Councilor Crampsey said, that you are providing me and Councilor Crampsey the opportunity to attend this meeting via Zoom. And looking forward to working with you on moving forward, and that's all I have for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Stubbe. And I'll also note we have County Commissioner Gene Foster here with us tonight. Thank you for joining us, Commissioner. And if you know Solicitor Brenneman as well as we do, you know probably the answer to the next question is just a shake of the head, but maybe there's more tonight. Solicitor Brenneman, do you have anything to offer for us tonight? Thank you. we appreciate it. Borough Manager Armstrong, any comments or updates from you or staff?
No updates. However, on behalf of staff, we'd like to congratulate you, Mayor Schultz, Deputy Mayor Landis, and Councilor Perry. We're looking forward to continuing to advance your vision for our Carlisle community for fiscal year 2022 and 2023 and beyond. So just looking forward to another good year. Thank you.
Thank you. And then that concludes our meeting. Without objection, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.